This PAX preview is brought to you by Netflix.
Happy to be joined by Chris Charla. You're the director of ID at Xbox?
Yep, ID at Xbox. It's our new self-publishing platform for Xbox One.
Obviously, this was an announcement that was really kind of explicated when it was at Gamescom. I guess my first question is, this must have been in the works for a while. Why wait so late in kind of this marketing drive to the launch of the Xbox to actually make such a significant announcement, especially considering that Sony had kind of identified this all the way back in February?
Yeah, it's absolutely been in the works for a while. We've been architecting Xbox One exactly to support this type of thing. In terms of why we waited, hey, we had a lot to talk about. So,
was this with the clarity that it was explained at Gamescom? I mean, when did you kind of decide, okay, this is what the system, the process, and the regulations are going to be?
So it's been something we've been talking to developers about for a really long time. Obviously, we're always talking to the developers we work with, and as as the kind of game industry has matured, the independent development scene has matured, it really became clear that developers wanted an additional pathway onto Xbox in addition to having a publisher or working with Microsoft Studios, and so it just seemed like the right thing to do, so we got it going.
So with self-publishing, you're allowing sort of the wholesale price to be set by the developer. Obviously, the retail price will be adjusted. If you wouldn't mind kind of explaining how that dynamic works. I think it sounds more odious than it actually is.
It really works exactly the way it works on Xbox right now. It's just the developer or publisher sets the wholesale price, Microsoft sets the retail price, and we make sure, we work really closely with our development partners and our publishing partners to make sure we have things where everybody wants it to be.
Now, one of the more significant things that was announced is that the Xbox One itself is a console that you can develop directly onto. Obviously, very few people have one in their possession, so you're having to be a little bit selective ahead of the launch of the console. Who's going to get a development kit to be able to make games on it? What is the criteria that you're using for someone to be in or for someone to be out?
Yeah, so obviously our plan long term is that everyone is going to be able to use their Xbox to make games. We kind of have a vision that in addition to being a great platform for playing games and enjoying entertainment, Xbox is also a platform that anybody can make games on, anybody can create with, all the way from a studio like who's making Titanfall to an independent developer, even down to somebody like me who can't code my way out of a paper bag. I can use something like Exactly. We can use something like Project Spark to make our own game experiences without any coding experience at all. In terms of the ID at Xbox program, we opened it up last week. We've got a ton of applications, and we are sending out dev kits now because obviously right now you do need a dev kit. And we're starting with developers who have some experience just to help us get the kinks out of the system, guys who have shipped before, but we're opening it up as broadly as possible, as quickly as possible.
Now, one of the things I was very interested in with the announcement that was at Gamescom was the way in which you're going to kind of curate the store. I mean, all you have to do is go to sort of the Apple store and there's so much product and it's very hard to sort of tell what am I going to be interested in. If you wouldn't mind going into detail about what the thinking is so you can help consumers actually discover high quality content.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we think about digital storefronts, this is something people have been thinking about for a long time, and I think on, the Xbox Marketplace is going to, on Xbox One, sorry, I'm distracted by some cosplay, it's going to be really, really exciting. We're doing a lot of things to really improve discoverability. So you have all the normal things that you would expect to see, what's popular, what just came out, but you'll also have things like trending, which shows you not necessarily what's just popular, but what your friends are playing and kind of like what they've been playing recently to kind of sort of discover new things. The other thing we're really excited about is game DVR. So obviously you can take clips, put some edits on them and upload them, and of course it's going to be used for things like bragging, headshots, that kind of thing, but we really think it's also going to be used as a discovery mechanism too. I know for me personally, like when I first heard about Minecraft, it took me a little while to grok it. I mean, this is way back 2010, and somebody was like, oh, it's a voxel sandbox, dude, and I'm like, okay, voxel sandbox, and then I got on YouTube and saw it and I bought it immediately. And so we really think that game DVR is going to be a huge way that people are going to actually be able to share games with their friends and a great way to discover new content.
And how are you controlling the content? Obviously, there is some validation, so something that's truly objectionable because of content. Is there going to be any kind of evaluation in terms of quality? So there, because look, there's a lot of crap out there, and that usually gets in the way of finding the good stuff.
Yeah, so obviously we're not looking to be censors. So we are looking to make sure that, really objectionable content doesn't come on the platform. But if you look at Xbox 360 and kind of the breadth of content, excuse me, that was available on 360. That kind of gives you a good idea of the kind of stuff we're looking for. And obviously we're controlling for quality. You know, games do have to go through certification. We want to make sure that for players, when they start their Xbox One, they see the broadest availability of content, the most diverse selection of games, and they want to know that those games are going to perform as expected.
So how would you, obviously Sony is also making some very significant sort of inroads and really identifying themselves with indie developers, with self-publishing. How would you characterize the similarities or the distinctions between Xbox One and the PlayStation 4?
Well, we're really just focused on doing what's right, and we've talked to more than 50 developers as we started to shape this program. We're continuing to talk to tons of developers. Even the last week, we've had tons and tons of conversations, and we're really focused on just doing what's right for developers on Xbox One, and so far, people seem pretty pleased with what we've announced.
I'm going to have to ask you, and forgive me, obviously you would characterize what Xbox One is doing as doing the right thing for developers. Do you think that is distinct from what Sony is doing with developers? Obviously you don't work there, so you only know so much.
I mean, I look out right now and see like what's going on across the whole independent development scene and what all the different console manufacturers are doing, and I think it's great. And I think what we're doing on Xbox One is absolutely fantastic. And when I talk to independent developers, they're really psyched.
And my final question, I think this is something that a few people that have been around in the press for a little bit too long have to wonder. There's something very exciting on the creative side of what's happening on the indie scene. In terms of as a business, it really hasn't shown necessarily a high level of profitability, with the exceptions of something like Minecraft, which is just sort of astonishing. I mean, is this a long-term business plan that really can generate revenue and may become something central to the overall, I guess, revenue stream of the Xbox One?
Absolutely. I can't go into specific numbers, but I was working on XBLA before I worked on this initiative, and I can tell you that there's a ton of games that make a lot of money that are not Minecraft, right? And the sales are great, and we're really focused on creating a sustainable ecosystem for independent developers on Xbox One. We don't want this to be a flash in the pan. This is not a fad. This is a new way of doing business, and we want to make sure that we have a platform that independent developers have to be really successful on for years and years to come.
All right, well, I wish you all the best. I know you have a lot of work ahead of you. Thank you so much for your time.
You obviously like video games, but would you like a better way to watch television? Netflix lets you stream your favorite movies and shows straight to your home without the need for a cable bill. All you need is an internet connection and a Netflix-enabled device like a PC or Mac, smartphone, or hey, even a video game console. For a limited time, hit up netflix.com/Rev3Games for a free trial. Every sign-up helps support Rev3 Games and gets us to more events like PAX.